Welcome, everybody. Thank you for joining us today, and we're really excited about today's session. So we'll be exploring how to boost your sales success with generative AI. We're fortunate to have two demos today where we'll explore a range of sales assistance that tools like ChatGPT can provide. So let's dive in. So for today's session, we're going to look at the role of generative AI in sales and learn how to extract sales intelligence from customer interactions using ChatGPT, and also discover how AI can transform specialized sales training know-how into dynamic conversational services. Briefly, I'll just recap what we covered last week. So last week, we went over the difference between general purpose and specialized AI tools. And we identified some of the tool requirements for specific digital marketing tasks. And we did an assessment and comparison of different tools based on business outcomes. And we're focused on digital marketing tasks. And so this was all leading up to making informed decisions on selecting the right AI tools for balancing cost, functionality, integration, and future trends in the industry. So if you'd like to view that video, if you weren't able to join us last week, at the end of the presentation, we've got links to the Circles of AI community where we share the videos and the content that we go over each week. So this week we have a special guest. It's my pleasure to introduce our guest speaker, Joe Likard. So Joe is the president of Revenue Path Group, a consultancy which helps organizations maximize revenue and upskill their B2B sales teams. And his career spans the publishing and technology sectors, and he's had executive roles at Macmillan, John Wiley & Sons, O'Reilly Media, Olive Software, and OSV. And so Joe will be demoing the Catalyst GPT later in the session, and really excited to have him as part of today's session. All right, so first question. So how does generative AI help with sales? So the short answer is it helps us with customer engagement. So there's 7 key benefits that really make generative AI shine in sales. So the ability to personalize communication. So generative AI can craft personalized emails, pitches, proposals, and other sales collateral based on the customer data and past interactions you've had. And this personalization really helps with engagement to effectively engage with your clients and increase the likelihood of conversions. It also helps with sales forecasting. So it can analyze your historical sales data and market trends, and then look at the what those sales forecasts might be. So this allows your sales teams to make better informed decisions and allocate resources more efficiently. It helps with guidance and coaching, and we'll see this with Joe's demo. So it can provide advice during sales calls, suggesting talking points, responses, and next steps based on the conversation. And it can also provide feedback and training on how to improve based on call transcripts. So after the call, you can go through this with your sales reps to handle objections and close deals more effectively. It's also really useful for automating administrative tasks. Routine tasks such as note-taking, data entry, and report generation are things that salespeople don't really like to do. So if you can automate that and simplify that, it helps with getting that information into the various sales tools to be able to have that shared within the overall group. Lead generation qualification. It's also really helpful for identifying and prioritizing leads by looking at large data sets. So if you have a lot of leads coming in and you've collected that data through forms, you can use tools to go in and to process those and rank your leads. HubSpot, Salesforce have these types of tools that give you that insight to be able to decide which leads are worth your time to invest and have the highest chance of converting. Content creation optimization. So we've talked about content creation quite a bit in past sessions, but when you're working on your marketing materials or sales presentations and social media posts, these tools are great for generating that kind of content. And it helps you to make sure that your messaging is consistent, relevant, and engaging. And then finally, data-driven insights. So the benefit of using computer-driven systems is that it can handle vast amounts of data and extract from that actionable insights to be able to pull out customer needs, preferences, and pain points, and then use that to target more effective sales strategies. All right, so we're going to go through a couple examples now of some real companies that have had success with AI. And so the first one is Box. So Box.com is a cloud-based content management system, and they've been using OpenAI's tools to predict their customers' journey. And so they're using this to analyze the customer behavior and patterns to look at the market trends that are going on. And then this is saving their team time and generating more accurate sales predictions. So they have a better sense of, for doing this, they have a better sense of their customer behavior, and then they're able to tailor their marketing campaigns towards that behavior to boost their sales. And this also has allowed them to optimize their pricing strategies. And so the overall impact is improved revenue generation and better sales efficiency through that better customer engagement. Another example is Shiny. This is a digital marketplace for fractional executives. And so they've been using Apollo.io, which is a sales lead generation tool. And so Apollo is used to scrape lead information from across the internet. And so they're using it to streamline their lead generation process. And before they started using it, they relied on multiple tools for email prospecting and LinkedIn outreach. So by integrating this, they've been able to reduce the time spent on lead gen from multiple hours to literally 5 minutes. And then they've been able to use Apollo's database to find really accurate contact information. So if you've ever used something like Zoom Info, it's a similar tool, but Apollo, if you haven't tried it, I highly recommend trying it out. It's quite amazing what they are able to do. And then they also leverage the Chrome extension to integrate Apollo data with their LinkedIn to be able to pull that together with their Sales Navigator. And so through all of this, they've been able to get a significant increase in the efficiency of their lead generation process. That's allowing their team to better engage with prospects in less time and with better results. All right. I'll just pause here for a minute, see if there's any questions on the first part of the discussion there, and then we're going to go into our first demo. So, any questions? Okay. Feel free to put your questions in the chat or just jump in and interrupt me. This is meant to be an interactive session, so don't be shy about that. All right, so for our first demo, I'm going to show off the Sales Tactician GPT. So this is a custom GPT I built to help me with my personal business. So I have a digital transformation consultancy, and I help companies with their digital strategy and their technology roadmap. And so one of the benefits I find with a tool like this is for founders, startup founders and business owners who are doing founder-led or owner-led sales. You wear many hats, and sometimes it's hard to do a good job with really following sales processes. And so I use this tool to help guide me and keep me on track with being able to help with personalizing communication, a lot of the administrative tasks of pulling action items and follow-up items from meetings, and then be able to also extract insights from sales calls. So we're going to do a role play, and I'll demonstrate with a made up example of a sales situation, and we'll walk through that together. So the role-playing sales scenario, we have a brand new lead that's just come in from a company called Acme Logistics. So they are a supply chain and logistics company, and they signed up two people. So Sally Nguyen is the operations director, and Joe Smith is the logistics manager. They've signed up for a 30-minute intro sales call. So I'm the salesperson for SupplySense AI, which is a company that sells AI-driven logistics software. And my goal is to introduce Acme Logistics to our supply chain management solution, understand their problems that they have with their current software, and then qualify this opportunity to decide if it's worth pursuing. Okay, so I'm going to switch over to ChatGPT now. Okay, so I've got my Sales Tactician GPT. Can I get a thumbs up? Is this large enough that people can read the text? Yeah, oh good, okay, great. Okay, so we're going to start by giving the Sales Tactician GPT some context about our sales situation. So we're gonna just click Get Started here, and it's gonna walk us through some of the process. So it's gonna ask to describe the current sales opportunity and what you need help with. So I've got some information that I'm going to paste in here. Okay, so I've got a 30-minute sales discovery call booked with a new lead. I want some help to prepare for the call so I can achieve my sales goals. And below is the information I have about them, which is the information I shared about the sales context, along with my sales goals. And I've given it some instructions. So please create a pre-call plan for this opportunity. And in the plan, include the sales research I should do, the list of sales qualification questions I need to answer, and a call script that will lead me through the qualification questions. So let's see what we get. All right, so sales research is suggesting to do some company background collection. So gather information about Acme Logistics, about the history, size, market position, etc. And then any information we can find out about their current software and who they might be using, and also their clients. And then also looking more broadly at their industry to look at some of the trends and challenges in the supply chain industry and how AI is helping there. And then also look at use something like LinkedIn or Apollo.io to do some research on the key personnel, understand their role and responsibilities, and then if we can find out their current software. So if we, so Acme Logistics is a made-up company, and Sally and Joe are made-up people. But if we had real company information here, we could use the built-in Bing browser to actually go do some of that research directly in the tool here. So we could say, use Bing to browse for Acme Logistics and provide an overview of the company. We won't do that because it won't come back with anything because this is not a real company. And then in terms of sales qualification questions, so we're wanting to build some rapport and some trust with them. So we're going to ask some kind of softball opening questions just to break the ice there. And then we want to dig in and understand their current problems. Then explore the opportunity and fit for what their problem space is and how it fits with the SupplySense AI software. Understand their decision-making process, their budget, timeline, and then ask for the next step, follow-up meeting, or whatever comes from the call. And then the tool has also given me a draft call script to go through for the 30-minute call. So one of the things you'll notice here, if you read through the questions, these are quite general questions, and the call script is very general because right now there's no context in the tool about my specific product or company. So we want to make sure that we give it some more context so that it can be more helpful. So I'm going to paste in a one-page product description for the supply sense software. And I've got a question from Prashant. So he's asking, is this for solo founders or who do not know what to ask or say in a sales prospect call? This is how, so Prashant, you might have come in late. I was saying I work with a lot of early stage companies where it's either founder-led sales or it's a small business where owner-led sales. So they don't have a dedicated sales team. In this case, these are this tool's a general purpose tool to help you follow best practices for sales. Joe's going to do a demo that's much more focused on helping salespeople and improve your sales performance, and we'll get to that. So I'm gonna I've got just a couple more things on here, and then we'll move over to Joe's demo. Okay, so going back to the demo here, so we've got a description of the product. So it just goes through the overview of what the product is, some of the key benefits it can provide, its features, and strategic advantages. So let's paste this in and see how that improves here. So it's going to give me a revised call plan. And then understanding for the qualification questions, it's going to tie in more specifically to the information around the tool that, sorry, the Supply Sense AI product. And then that will also be part of the call script. You can see here now it's included that as part of an overview of the software. All right. So let's assume now we've moved on. We've now done our 30-minute call. I want to just quickly cover some of the tools I use when I do these calls. So I'd like to use an AI note taker. So there's three main note takers that are out there. There's Firefly's AI, there's Otter AI, and there's Fathom AI note taker. So these are pretty common. You see them in the meetings. In the meeting here, got my Fathom note taker. All of these provide the ability to get a transcript of a sales call if you're doing an online call. And what you can do with that information is then be able to mine it for insights from that call. And so we're going to go and explore a simulated transcript that I put together for the call with Sally and Joe. So I'll just show this briefly here. So this is a transcript that you would get out of one of these note takers, and it goes through the specifics of the call. So 30 minutes, about 5 pages long. Now, one of the things that you'll notice is we've got everybody's name in here. We got the name of the companies. We probably have some financial information in here. This is sensitive data. So we want to be really careful with this data and not just blindly put this into these AI tools, because there's personally identifiable information and sensitive sales information. So I highly recommend that you go through and anonymize this data. So I have done this in a second version here. The way I do this is I just do a search and replace on the names and the company name with using initials. So I've done that and gone through and streamlined this. There are commercial tools you can use for anonymization. We're not going to cover that today, but that's something to consider. The most important thing around this is you're going to need to look at the privacy policy and data policies for your organization and understand what it is that is considered appropriate to put into these tools. So I recommend that you do this, but also recognize that the simulated this transcript that comes out of an AI note taker, in order to get that transcript, it has already gone through AI. So these note takers run an AI model in the back end. Might be the ChatGPT OpenAI or another one, but it's already been processed. So even by using a note taker, you are getting that data that's being sucked into these tools, and it may be used for training data. You need to look into the note takers to understand that context. So just going to briefly cover that, and looks like we've got a question from Rosario. Hi, Rosario. Yeah. What's your question?
I actually put it in the chat. I just trying to cut your attention. It
Oh,
was
okay.
so these note takers, basically you use them. I assume that you tell your customers, I'm going to use these note takers so they know, and maybe you share the content with them so they know that information has been gathered correctly. I don't know, just your thoughts on that.
Yeah. So I believe that Fireflies, Otter, and Fathom all ask permission either in advance of a meeting with the attendees, or they announce it in the chat when they get added into the meeting. So there is a explicit notification that these are being recorded for note-taking purposes. It is best practice, though, to also ask. And sometimes on a sales call, a customer will not be happy with you recording it. So this may not always work for your situation. So if you can get it, it's helpful. If you can't, then you'll have to use the old-fashioned way of taking notes and keeping track of the meeting.
Yeah, you actually asked me my other question. Are people getting used to this or not? And, there might be resistance with the time, probably it will be, general practice. Thank you, James.
Yeah, I would say that, and for the most part, I think people are getting pretty comfortable with these note takers now. In larger enterprise, I don't know the answer. I think I have heard of companies that have banned their use. So it will depend on your organization. So it's best to check with the privacy policies and data use policies in your organization.
Thank you.
All right, you're welcome. All right, so back to the demo. So we're going to put this call transcript into the tool now, and then we're going to extract some insights from it. So we're not going to use the anonymized version because this is a simulated call transcript with imaginary people and imaginary companies. So for simplicity, we'll use everyone's name so that you can see the details more clearly. Okay, so we are add the prompt. So we'll start a new instance here. And so we're going to create a sales executive summary from the attached transcript. And I will download that. I like to include these in Word format, but you can attach it in different formats. By the way, I'm using a paid version of ChatGPT, so that's how I'm able to add these, attach these files. If you're using the free version, you may not be able to attach files. You might have to paste the information into the chat directly. Okay, so it's processed our transcript, and it's given me an exec summary. So we've got the participants, we've got the key points of discussion. So we talked about logistics management and how their team is currently working. They've got some challenges around a holistic view of their supply chain operations because the data is siloed. And so this lack of visibility is causing inefficiencies and delays in decision making, and they've also, it's increasing their cost and impacting their customer satisfaction. So we talked about Supply Sense AI, and then we've got some concerns. So Joe expressed concerns about disruption to their operations, and he was also concerned about proper training. Covered some other benefits and shared a customer success example, and then our next steps. So we've got our actions that came out from this. So this is a general summary, but I think we can dig deeper into this. So let's extract some more information. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to ask it to extract the key sales insights from the transcript. It's going to dig a little deeper here. Okay, so they've got issues with comprehensive visibility across their supply chain that are causing those inefficiencies and increased costs. They've got siloed information, so their teams aren't able to communicate and work together. And then that's impacting their operational costs, as I mentioned previously. So the solution fit for the supply sense AI, so it directly addresses some of their challenges around real-time tracking and that visibility across their organization. And then there's some case studies that show the impact. And then the client concerns and value proposition. So the thing that they really want to see is they want to see evidence of success. So when we do our next call, we're going to have to really dig into that and show that we can cover that. And then also customization support. So they want to be able to see that it can be customized to their specific needs. And then Joe had expressed concerns about how this integrates in with their existing operations. So having comprehensive training and support to make sure that that's seamless is important to them. And there's some next steps around live demo and then providing detailed cost analysis and ROI projections. All right. So the next thing I'm going to ask is about red flags for the opportunity. So let's look at the transcript and just identify anything that's a risk to the sale. Okay, so there's concerns about resistance to change. So Joe repeatedly emphasized that he thinks that their current software is good enough, and that the issue is really about that the team hasn't been trained well enough on it. So Joe isn't necessarily bought into changing software, so that could be an issue in the sale. Both Sally and Joe expressed concerns about disruption to operations, so need to make sure that that's addressed. There's skepticism about return on investment tied to Joe's belief that the existing system is good enough. Integration, customer satisfaction, and then the decision-making dynamics. So from that perspective, are Sally and Joe the key decision makers here? That's something we'll have to dig into. And then there's some guidance on how to deal with that more. Okay. So the other thing we could do is we can dig in and extract our action items and follow-up tasks from the transcript. Okay, so there's a task to have a live demo, so that was my responsibility, and a deadline for scheduling that. I also have to provide a detailed cost analysis and ROI projection and schedule the follow-up meeting. So very detailed task list here. So this is good because this can integrate now into task management software like Asana or Monday.com for your project management, or into the sales tools like HubSpot for task management. And then finally, so speaking of CRMs, what we can do is we can summarize all of the information in this conversation and then create a concise summary that we can put into the HubSpot call details. So it's going to summarize that all with the participants, discussion points, concerns, solution, and actions. And so this can easily be copied and pasted directly into your CRM. Okay, there's lots of other things you can do with this as well. So as I mentioned, this is a broad tool that allows you to work through lots of different sales scenarios, but it's not specifically going to help you with your sales methodology. That kind of training is what Joe's going to do in showing our next demo, where you can use that information more holistically in looking at your sales process overall. All right. Any questions before I wrap up at this demo?
James, I think Rosario had one in the chat there about whether it was off the shelf or did you build this for your own needs?
Yeah, so this is a custom GPT I built myself. So I will share this as part of the slides for the session. So this, like last week or a couple weeks ago, we went through how to build your own custom GPT. So I built the prompt for how to help with sales guidance, and then use that to go build my custom GPT. And as I mentioned, I use this when I'm, as a consultant and solopreneur, I have to context switch a lot. And this is good because it helps to guide me through the process where I don't have such a a cognitive load where I have to remember and kind of put myself back into the sales process and go, okay, yeah, this is how I do sales. This I can just kind of brute force, put the information in, and it will guide me through best practice.
Yeah, so it's the framework, isn't it? Just putting everything in
That's
the
right.
model, so it just starts to spill out all the things that you need. Okay,
That's right.
thank you.
Okay, great. Any other questions before we move over to Joe's demo? Right. So I will bring the slides back up here, and then Joe, I'll switch over to you.
Okay.
So Joe is going to talk to us about the priority sale catalyst. And so Revenue Path Group has a book and a sales methodology that they use. And Joe's going to introduce that and then talk about the work that they've been doing with building their own tool for supporting this. So he'll be demoing that. And so Joe, I'll let you share your presentation now.
Okay. All right. Let me switch screens here. 1 second. Okay. Is everybody able to see my screen? All right. James, is it popping up okay?
Yes.
Okay. Awesome. Hey, so thanks, James. Thanks, everybody, for attending today. And this is a perfect follow-on to what James sort of walked you through, because as he mentioned, I'm part of an organization called Revenue Path Group. And over the last several years, we have developed a sales methodology for B2B sales teams. We call it the priority sale. It's all about getting in earlier and at a higher level in an opportunity. And what we've done is taken that methodology and we've now sort of transformed it and made it available in generative AI format through a custom GPT, which I'll show you here in a moment. But I wanted to give you a little bit of background first, just to provide some context on what this is for. So as James mentioned, we really specialize in sales team training and coaching and helping them move an opportunity along in the pipeline there. And we look at what this platform enables us to do is kind of the next generation of sales enablement. So just real quickly, basically our methodology is built upon what we call the 3 deadly C's. So commoditization, first of all, we really believe that most B2B sellers are viewed by their prospects as offering a commodity solution, okay? And it's only getting worse. There's also a lot of compressed selling time now. I think Gartner had a report a couple years ago showing that 80+% of the buying journey is completed before a salesperson is even brought to the table. Okay, so you have less and less time to work. And then consensus decision making. It's no longer one-to-one. You're not just selling to a procurement specialist. There's typically a team or a committee that is making that decision. So these 3 deadly C's are really what our priority sale methodology is built upon. And as we're out there training, we just firmly believe that the training is broken. Okay, and the reason why, there's a number of them. First of all, we feel like a lot of training today is just based on what has worked in the past, and so there's not a whole lot of reason to change that at all. Secondly, as I think everybody on this call probably knows, technology can be very slowly embraced, especially something like artificial intelligence, where there's a lot of fear, uncertainty, and doubt. And yes, we are using yesterday's methods basically for tomorrow's challenges. And because of generative AI and the rate of acceleration, that situation is definitely going to get worse. So, the rhetorical question we ask is, when was the last time we challenged the status quo in an organization's learning culture? Because learning, at least I've found certainly over the course of my career, it's something that's typically developed, and then it's offered to learners, and then it's kind of put on autopilot and more or less forgotten about, right? So we feel like learners are also overtrained and underdeveloped. And what does that mean? So are we aiming for like a standardized test, or for the reality of the real world here of business, where things aren't tied to a standardized test? And we have to ask ourselves the question, why do we expect dynamic results from static, again, sort of outdated learning methods for the most part? Also, are your learners really, and are we as learners gaining the knowledge as well as the ability to apply it in those pressure-packed real world scenarios like a sales call involves, right? Again, so much of it was based on and has been based on sort of standardized testing, one size fits all, that sort of thing. And I really don't think that traditional corporate training and education, for that matter, really helps us innovate. It's more about conformity. It is, again, that one size fits all, and you're going to learn at the same pace, and you need to learn the same things that I do, which I think is really, it's been outdated for a long time, but we just haven't had the technology to really adapt to that. And over the course of time, I think that learning environments and training have become a way to just kind of tick off some of the boxes on a checklist, whether it's HR or just leadership in an organization. So it's clear that generative AI can take us a lot further if we allow it to. And, we believe at RPG that because generative AI can be very interactive, you saw a little bit of that with what James demoed here, that it can be a sales coach and an assistant that's there 24/7 and able to answer your questions regardless of what stage you're at in a deal. It can also become highly personalized. And this is where I think generative AI is going to become so exciting in the future here, as we're able to stand up different versions of what I'll be showing you that are tailored for that individual. We put them through an assessment, we figure out what their strengths and weaknesses are, and then we focus on making their strengths stronger, but also helping them bring their weaknesses up so that they're at a more acceptable level. And that's where, again, one size fits all just doesn't work anymore, right? It's also adaptive. What I'm about to show you and where this is heading, the more it's used, the more powerful it becomes. And really, I think what we're seeing in a very short period of time is how generative AI and AI itself is moving from what a lot of people look at as chatbots to becoming the power behind a trusted strategic advisor, in this case, for a salesperson. So, this is where, when we're talking with our clients, we're explaining that we've got something that can really help take a big step forward in that, in unlocking the value of your training. And it, as James said, is called the Priority Sale Catalyst, and it's powered by generative AI. And we do feel like it is the next generation of sales enablement. So let's look at the three pillars really quickly of what this means. First of all, and by pillars here, I'm talking about the knowledge that we train this AI platform on, the first of which is the sales methodology. So revenue path, groups, priority sale methodology. We have trained this custom GPT I'm going to show you on all aspects of the priority sale methodology. And throughout the demo, you're going to see a lot of the key phrases like priority pitch, convincing advantages, things like that are central to the priority sale come back and be used interchangeably between the user and the platform itself. But it starts with the methodology, which, by the way, we also want to be very careful that we're not releasing our methodology into the wild. Obviously, there's been a lot of talk about concerns of IP leakage, and therefore, why can't I just do this in the public ChatGPT? I'll show you as part of my demo that our IP has not been leaked out into the public, and so we've been able to really keep it in a sandboxed area. But this is the foundation, is our IP. But the next level, which now we're starting to engage with customers on, is taking their corporate knowledge base. So in terms of sales, it's things like ideal customer profile, onboarding process, procedures, policies, and basically all the other institutional knowledge that makes up that sales team. We're gathering all those materials and now training a separate instance of this custom GPT for that client. So each client has a different instance of it, and they're not sharing any of their IP either. That's the second level. The third level, which we'll probably get into more later this year and early next year, is what I talked about before, making it real and unique for each individual seller. Their goals, their prospects, what they struggle with, where they need help, and so forth. So all three of these pillars are critical for this solution. They do gain value over time because we keep feeding them with more, we keep feeding the platform with more and more knowledge from all three of those pillars. And also, as this platform works more and more with an individual, it picks up more of their unique DNA as well, okay? So just to summarize here, it's an always-on, just-in-time model. The benefits are, as I mentioned here in blue, it takes training away from kind of once-a-month sessions or every couple of weeks or whatever, and makes it in the moment of work. So it's real-time, right there at your fingertips. It also focuses on real-world application, thanks largely to what we've trained it on, as well as what the user provides. And I'm going to be using the exact same sales call transcript that James had, so you'll see that in action as well. It improves retention. So there's a thing called the forgetting curve you may be familiar with, where if I learn something today and it's not reinforced, a year from now, I don't know it as well. And you try to reinforce that from time to time with follow-up sessions and so forth. This, because it's always available, really flattens the forgetting curve and helps with that enhanced retention. And then really it shortens the path from A to B in competency, because you're getting that learning and that training in the moment of work. And it doesn't replace traditional training, right? So that's a key as well here, is that, this is additive to classroom settings and e-learning and everything else, okay? So before I get into the demo, I wanted to show you really quickly, how we built this and how we trained it. First of all, it's built with a no-code platform, so using the custom GPT capabilities of ChatGPT, largely because we wanted to build a prototype and essentially avoid the upfront expense of a team of software developers or data scientists, right? And I can tell you that this has been a great experience for us with ChatGPT. But we do realize that we could easily start bumping our head against the ceiling here of capabilities. But I also feel like the no-code solution that OpenAI offers, as well as others, they're just going to become richer and richer with more and more features going forward. So far, so good, in the sense that it's been a good solution for us. It has been built with OpenAI, as I mentioned, but we're not locked in with them. And in fact, I'm in the process right now of evaluating a couple of other possibilities here, just to diversify, and also because we've had a couple of clients now that have said, hey, we're a Microsoft shop. We don't want to use OpenAI, even though, interestingly, of course, OpenAI is funded largely by Microsoft, and Copilot every day is becoming more and more OpenAI as a code base. Nevertheless, we realize that there are different solutions out there, and we need to be able to shift platforms on the fly. So we're starting to look at that as well. We have trained it all, as I mentioned, on the priority sale intellectual property. So we've got books, articles, we do collab labs where we dive deeper into concepts. We've had a series of podcasts, and also we keep it up to date with weekly interviews with staff members to talk more about elements of the priority sale, so that we can continue to refine the training. And that's something that's important. It's not one and done. The training process is definitely ongoing here. And like I said, we're starting to now build up separate instances for each client that wants to kind of explore this further with us. And you can see some of the different things that we use there. I highlight and boldface and underscore institutional knowledge for a reason here, because we're also finding, as we talk with clients, that this is a great solution to avoid that knowledge loss that happens when somebody leaves the organization, right? So through a capture initially, as well as ongoing interviews, to be able to gather that knowledge and then feed this platform, it preserves that knowledge after that person has left the organization, which has a lot of value itself. So before I jump into the demo, any questions on what you've heard so far? Okay, take that as a no. All right. All right, what you see here right now, I assume I'm still, yeah, it looks like I'm still sharing my screen just fine. This is just general ChatGPT, and I mentioned that we've been concerned all along. We don't want our methodology leaking out into the public version. Okay, so a prompt I did earlier today was, what are the 3 deadly C's according to the priority sale methodology? And again, this is not in our platform yet. This is just ChatGPT, and it came up with complacency, complacent competency, and company comfort. None of those are our formula. Okay, so again, I've proven that it's not out there in the wild. When I come over into, this is now within the priority sale catalyst, and I ask the question, it comes back with commoditization, compressed selling time, consensus decision making, like I walked you through earlier. So let me now jump into an actual demo using that call transcript that James showed us earlier. So I am in the priority sale catalyst. I'm going to paste in a prompt here where it's basically saying that I'm going to feed it the transcript of the call, which I'm going to drag over right now. This is the same transcript that James showed. And I want it to now look at this through the lens of the priority sale methodology, okay? And I want it to give me a summary, like James did, but also tell me key items discussed, areas of concern, and action items for next steps. So let me go ahead and submit that. And while it's thinking here again, it's now comparing that document basically to what we have trained it on within the priority sale methodology. And it's going to now come back with responses that in some cases look similar perhaps to what you saw with James's custom GPT, but in this case, it's all with the priority sale in mind. So here's first off the current challenges. Here are the key items that have been discussed, a proposed solution from SupplySense for its AI features that James had put forward, and then it has a very user-friendly interface. Some of the concerns that came up, Joe had brought up questions about cost and return on investment, and also integration and training. Okay, the next steps that I asked for are summarized here as well. That James is going to come back with a detailed proposal and a live demo in a follow-up meeting. And then we see a summary of the areas of concern that came up. So again, cost justification, transition that I think Joe had brought up there, and integration with their existing systems, another thing that Joe had brought up. Finally, we've got the action items, the proposal, the live demo, and the follow-up meeting. So that's, again, probably pretty similar to what James's tool had presented there. So let's now dig a bit deeper and ask it to tell us about the priority pitch that James used. And so priority pitch, you'll see here I've capitalized it because that's a phrase that's used in the priority sale methodology. And it's very similar to an elevator pitch, but it focuses on those 3 deadly C's and other elements of the priority sale methodology. So now it's going to take, again, a look back at that transcript that I gave, and it's going to now tell me that, okay, there was good alignment with the customer's priorities, okay, it connected to emotional and rational needs, which again are part of the priority sale methodology, did get into a unique value proposition and ROI, summarized also the engagement responsiveness, and it gave James's priority pitch a rating of 8 out of 10, which is pretty good. It showed the strengths. It also talked about areas for improvement, which is pretty valuable. So then what I would do as a follow-up is I'm going to paste in another prompt. I'm going to ask it, how would the Catalyst recommend that James improve his priority pitch for the next meeting? So this is, again, part of the training and development opportunity in the moment here, right? So he could strengthen the ROI and cost justification, as talked about here. Could also address potential objections very proactively with some suggestions there. Get into a little bit more of the unique value proposition and clarify that a bit more, talking about emotional appeals, incorporating priority pitch elements, again, getting back to the priority sale and what makes it unique, and then preparing follow-up. So here is an enhanced pitch, basically, that the Catalyst GPT has come up with for an introduction, and then a value proposition, as well as the financial justification, and so on and so forth. So it's now guiding James, in this case the salesperson, based on the priority sale methodology on how to do a better job here. So let me dive a little bit deeper and ask it another prompt here of, what are the convincing advantages? And again, you'll see I've capitalized those for the SupplySense AI solution that James shared. Convincing advantages are a core fundamental building block of the priority sale methodology. So it starts to summarize then where James got into convincing advantages, provides more of the details there, and gives a really good, I think, thorough summary of that, and focusing on a lot of the points that basically Sally and Joe had brought up. So now if I ask as a follow-up to that, okay, if those were the convincing advantages James had brought forward, how would the Catalyst GPT strengthen those convincing advantages for either a follow-up call that James would have or any other prospect that he would talk to, right? So here's then opportunities to improve it even further. So better visibility and real-time tracking, the predictive analytics that I think was just barely touched on in the call transcript, the integration with existing systems, which I think is important, and the Catalyst GPT picked this up in all likelihood because of the fact that Joe had expressed a concern about integrating with their existing system. And you see some of these other benefits here. So what it then says is, here's also a structure that James could use for the next prospect call that he could follow, and he could tweak, to suit his needs and so forth, including featuring the demo and then determining next steps. So let me ask it now also. I'm going to paste in one of two more prompts here, asking it to grade James's performance when looked at again through the lens of the priority sale methodology. So in other words, how did he do overall in that one transcript that we shared with it? So the criteria is listed out first. It gave him an A on the first piece of identifying and aligning with the client priorities, a B+ here with rational needs, an A- for unique value proposition, a B on the ROI piece, so that's probably something to go back on in the follow-up call anyhow, and then an A for engagement and responsiveness, so an overall grade of B+, and then kind of a summary of all that. Now, where it gets really interesting, if you ask me, and this is, I think, probably the use case that has wowed the most of our clients that we've shared this with, is to go into role playing. So now that James has finished that first meeting with Joe and Sally, to ask the Catalyst GPT to role play for the next meeting. And I'm asking the Catalyst to go ahead and set up the scene. I'll play the role of James, the salesperson. And again, all this is done through the lens of the priority sale methodology. So it's going to now set this scene and provide details about how, okay, we're having the next meeting here. Here's the objective that we've got. Here's the opening. Sally starts things off saying, "Hi, James, thanks for joining us." And going back to the ROI projections, can you walk us through the details? So now this is my chance as James, as a salesperson, to role play and say what I think I would respond or how I would respond in this follow-up meeting. And then it's going to grade me. So I'm going to give it a really bad answer. Okay, I'm going to say, sure, Sally. Our ROI speaks for itself, and your payback is in 3.4 years, which again is a pretty lame way to answer that ROI question. So when it looks at what I've said, now it's going to compare that to what it knows so far in the meeting, and it's given me a C, not surprisingly, right? So it gave me some strengths here that I was very direct, but detail and specificity was very much lacking. Engagement, there were no visual aids and so forth. It then suggested a better way of doing it here that I'll highlight on the screen, of kind of responding, I think, in a more meaningful manner to Sally's question. Then, the role-playing exercise can continue on. I'm going to stop here. You get a sense of how it goes, but I could keep doing this all the way through. I could tell it to not let me move on until I give it a suitable answer. There's a lot of ways to kind of configure this. So let me just stop there. I know we're almost out of time. That was basically the crux of the demo that I wanted to offer up here. So let me just look here in the chat window. Comparison and competitive offers have you built up in the model? So Rosario, I'm wondering if you're asking, I'm not sure if that's a question about what competitive.
No, let me clarify. So I mean, the model looks fantastic. I mean, it's very impressive, the way that it grades, and it just guides the person, isn't it? So you are improving, you have your guideline. It's really, yeah. So I'm still, very amazed about what you can do with it. As you were going, because one of the things I work in business to business, so one of the things that is important is to tell also help the sales guys with comparison with competitors, because they are going to do a pitch, okay, and they obviously we always know that our customers have a solution. It might be our solution and we want to sell a new one, or it might be a competitor one. So it's very good to give all the the rationale for our product. But have you thought about, and I understand this model is to improve the training, but I was just wondering, it's just something that came to my mind.
Yeah, no, that's a great question, Rosario. And if I understood it right, I think I've got an example here of how we've been using the Catalyst internally in our own sales efforts, where we're able to go out and we're able to encourage and enable our clients to go out and use it to search the web. So for example, to say, we're in this particular vertical business, and here are 3 of our competitors, and here are their web addresses. Please summarize for me what are their key unique benefits and how do they stack up to ours. So again, through the magic of generative AI, you can quickly do that and assess it through that lens of the priority sale methodology, but looking at competitors as well.
Yeah, I've tried that as well. So just giving them some criteria and making a table with the comparison. Okay, thank you.
Sure, absolutely. Any other questions? Doesn't look like it.
Yeah. Well, we're just about at the top of the hour here, so we've got time for one more question if anyone wants to jump in. But Joe, great demo. Really appreciated seeing how the Sales Catalyst works.
Thanks. Thomas, you want to know how we market the GPT? So right now, we are starting small. We're just working with our existing clients that we've trained their teams on the priority sale, and we're explaining to them this is an extension. It's basically a SaaS-based enhancement to what they've already been trained on. Okay, so that's our starting point, just to get enough clients working with this that are familiar with the priority sale methodology, and we've got a really nice stable of them. So we're starting with that, and then we're going to go out into other marketing and visibility approaches.
Just a final question. So do you see this, Joe, working better in certain sectors than others, or is this kind of whoever approach, small businesses, medium? How do you see that working in the market for you?
Yeah, that's another great question, Rosario. We have yet to find, and again, remember, we're talking B2B sales teams, right? So we're not trying to help organizations that have like a B2C sales approach. But everywhere we've worked with the priority sale methodology in the B2B space, we have been successful and our clients have been successful. I will tell you too that this platform that we're developing is a scalability solution for us. I mean, we're a small team, so we can only work with a limited number of clients on an annual basis. But our goal is to really enable a much larger number of people to have access to this platform. And therefore, it'll have many more vertical opportunities as well.
Okay, sounds good. Excellent. Thank you.
Yeah, great. If you have more questions for Joe or for myself, if you join the circlesofai.com community, we have a WhatsApp community where you can access us both and ask us as many questions as you like. We're happy to respond to you there. But we are out of time for today, and I want to thank everyone for participating in our session, and special thank you to Joe for his time today and presenting the Catalyst sales solution. So thank you, everyone, and I hope you have
Thank you very much.
Great Friday.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye now.
Bye.
Thank you.